name is Ananya, and today I'm going to be making a video kind of about making videos. What motivated me to make this was this channel by this girl, her name's Lauren. I will link the specific video that I'm about to refer to in the description, but it's called like Why Everybody Should Make a YouTube Channel. And upon watching that, I decided that it might be a good time for me to reboot my YouTube channel. And so here we are. I will be addressing the facial dysmorphia allegations, that being kind of the main reason as to why I don't like making videos of my face. I just thought that it would be kind of interesting for me to think of YouTube as an experiment to combat the facial dysmorphia and to also appreciate, at the very least, be okay with what my face looks like. I mean, just the number of attempts I have made with recording this video, I feel like attests to how intense my fear is of my face on camera. Even right now, this is a deeply uncomfortable experience, but I feel like I have made it as normal for me as possible. And one of the things that I've done to make it as normal for me as possible is I've made a deck. I love making decks. I'm such a PowerPoint queen. I'm gonna pull up a Google Slides presentation that I made for this very purpose, and hopefully it will help me stay on track and not have me go on a tangent. So yeah, here's the deck. Yay! I obviously got this template from SlidesGo in the description as well. Okay, so dealing with my face in motion, getting used to how it looks via YouTube videos. Yay, let's go. Welcome to my channel. Yes, I know I'm wearing makeup right now. Please don't be dense. Real facial dysmorphia havers would be able to empathize with the fact that makeup or even like a filter doesn't really stop the facial dysmorphia. Like real self-esteem issue havers won't let anything stop them from continuing to have self-esteem issues. The makeup helps for sure, but like it doesn't solve anything, because ultimately makeup only deals with the epidermis. What is facial dysmorphia? So I think we should maybe have a workable definition of facial dysmorphia as we move through this deck. First, it's important to understand that facial dysmorphia is a subset of body dysmorphia. So we've all heard of body dysmorphia. I mean, maybe not all of us, but it's basically just this displeasure, dissatisfaction with what your body looks like. With facial dysmorphia, the individual is focused on the face. I just thought that this would be a good definition to have as we proceed through this deck. This is my first time talking about this problem in as detailed of a way as I am right now. Really, the only times that I talk about facial dysmorphia is like if I'm talking about it with my loved ones, or if I'm just engaging in it, like if I'm just engaging in the negative self-talk. As kind of weird and like icky as this feels, I think that it's probably important for me to try to put this information out there as a way to depersonalize this issue and also make it maybe bigger than myself. Because I know that this is like a very common issue, especially now. And so I think that me trying to turn it into a project, like a YouTube experiment, maybe might be the best thing that I can do in order to address this problem, and by not only just trying to mend it for myself, or at least attempt to, but also maybe putting it out there, making it so that it's somewhat relatable to other people. I guess in a way, it's kind of like an immersion therapy kind of thing. If you don't know what immersion therapy is, it's essentially just you combat the thing that you're most afraid of. That way you kind of get used to it, you get accustomed to it, then it no longer poses as much of a threat as it did before. So yes, this already feels kind of dumb. Something that I assume would be a thing that people might point out is that why would you want to deal with this problem by putting your face out there even more? Like, wouldn't you want to deal with a problem like this by looking at your face less? And to that, I say, why would I want to do that? I don't think I'm interested in doing that because I want to be able to look at my face and feel at least kind of normal about it. Like, that would truly do so much for me. That's kind of why I will trudge along this path, because no one can stop me. Also, who will stop me? No one. And so we shall proceed. Hypocrisy alert, hypocrisy alert. I cringe at other people who experience facial dysmorphia in a way where it's obvious, and I'd much rather have them pretend. I don't like seeing other people like put their hand in front of a camera as soon as a lens is spontaneously like pointed in their direction. I find that to be really annoying. I just want to acknowledge that, like, as much as I feel this problem, I also hate seeing other people experience this exact same problem. Like, something about it is just so off-putting to me. Not to mention that it's really annoying to talk about even. It's really annoying to admit to this problem because there are so many other things, whether it be in my personal life or in the general state of the world, that are way more pressing. And I find that being afraid of your face is something that is a huge inhibitor in being able to pay attention to those things that are like guaranteed more important. So I just want to be able to spend my time thinking about those things. This is one approach to it, which is maybe I should feel nothing towards my face, kind of like body neutrality. If you guys have heard of body positivity, one of the counters to that is like body neutrality, which basically just means that you feel nothing towards your body. Maybe some version of that in regards to my face could be like facial neutrality, where you just feel nothing towards it. It's just kind of there to serve the functions of like talking to people and like recognizing people, but like you don't associate it with any goodness or badness. Mostly, like by and large, I agree with that. And I also just feel like I don't want to live my entire life like not feeling any positive feelings towards my face, like, or feeling indifferent towards my face. Like, I'm not really sure if facial neutrality is what I'm trying to achieve through this, but at the same time, like, it wouldn't be bad either. Okay, so what are the two ways that this could go? It works, and every new video I make makes me less afraid of my face. I'm no longer scared of cameras being pointed in my direction spontaneously. That would be a really sick one. Cameras are everywhere now. We all have cameras on our phones, and I kind of don't want to feel so afraid whenever a camera is pointed in my general direction. That would be really nice if that wasn't the case anymore. I can laugh and smile and emote like a normal person. I think several times before just emoting. Those are things that I want to also be able to do mindlessly. Just express happy, positive emotions without feeling like I'm making a fool out of myself. And of course, if it works, the biggest thing would be that I'm dealing with like a massive source of my anxiety. So what would be the case where it doesn't work? I dread making new videos. I yearn for cosmetic surgery. And because I'm familiar with every part of my face, because you would be able to see every part of my face for the most part on video, as opposed to still images. I know exactly what needs to be corrected, or I would then find out what needs to be corrected, which would then lead me to yearn for cosmetic surgery. So I think of this as like something that maybe has happened to the members of the Kardashian family. If your entire life has been documented, or like a huge chunk of your life, you know, especially for the younger members of the family, where it is their entire life that was documented on camera and like aired out to international television for everyone to see, then you would just have all this information as to like what your face looks like, what you can do to make it better. You would be able to see every single angle of your face at all times. It would just be available to you all the time. That could possibly lead to a longing to fix it and to make it more camera friendly. So this could also, I am acknowledging, could be a byproduct of conducting an experiment like this. But I'm really hoping that it's the former rather than the latter, because I have seen people get really comfortable with looking at themselves on camera, and people who really lacked any semblance of confidence, like they really were able to gain a sense of confidence over time by watching themselves on camera. I really don't want to get cosmetic surgery. That sounds like so much work and money, but I really don't want to do that. I very much so want to just be okay with what I look like. This is the quote slide on the Slides Go template. I decided I'd keep it and I'd put a quote in here that I just said to myself. I have loved ones in my life and their support. Why I also feel especially strongly about doing this experiment right now is because I feel like I have a really good support system going for me. Regardless of how cringe or whatever this whole thing turns out to be, I feel like they will support me, which is, I think, really all I need. But the main thing is that, like, I have other interests. I would love to spend my time on those things that matter to me that have nothing to do with what I look like. So for instance, singing is one thing that I really enjoy doing. And the thing that comes with singing is a lot of awkward facial movements, flarings of nostrils, open mouth movements, and your teeth showing and your tongue moving in all directions, and double chins. So there are all these things that come with singing, but singing is such a fun thing. Like, I love singing, I love writing songs, but like I get so worried about like just stupid shit like what I look like when I'm singing. Even like sleeping, like even fucking sleeping next to someone that you have a crush on. I mean, luckily, like I don't have this problem anymore because I don't worry about sleeping next to my partner. But like, I think some people would be able to relate to the fact that even like sleeping next to someone, like someone that you just started seeing or something like that, can also be like deeply uncomfortable if you have facial dysmorphia, because you're worried about like all of these other stupid things, and like drooling or having my mouth slightly open, or ugly facial expressions that come through when you're trying to sleep, or you can't even fucking sleep when you have facial dysmorphia in front of other people. These are other interests that I have that, become difficult to do when I have this problem. Another reason as to why to deal with this problem sooner than later. To paraphrase Ethel Cain, experiencing creative breakthroughs feels like being closer to God. Ethel Cain made a video, which I will also link in the description. Essentially, the point that she was making was that like when you're in the creative process and you kind of reach a peak or a creative breakthrough, that feeling feels like being in close proximity to God, which I really agree with, because when I'm in the thick of doing something that I really love, I kind of even forget like what I look like. I forget that I look any particular way, because I'm just kind of using my body as like a tool to make me function and do the creative thing to the best of my ability. That's definitely a feeling that I'm trying to feel more often, because it is addictive. Even like doing this and like making a YouTube video, I'm like kind of not even considering what I look like in this video about faces and dealing with your face. I like that this is gonna turn into a project which will involve like writing and editing and filming and like so many other creative things that make it so that it's like a whole project as opposed to just like a still image of myself. It's me like talking. I do have the agency to edit out parts of the video in which I look ugly or awkward, but ultimately, like, the things that I want to keep in the video are the things that make sense, are cohesive sentences. Those are the things that I would be more focused on keeping in the video, as opposed to like worrying about like what I look like when I said the thing that made sense. Does all of this make sense? This slide is just, I added sort of to, emphasize the fact that the best times of your life are usually the times in which you forget that you even have a body. that you even have a face, let alone like it looking any particular way. Even more reason to get over this problem. Now, in the next slide, I'm going to talk about the YouTube videos that I made when I was 18 and why I deleted them. So I have titled this slide the cringe timeline. And why did I delete my old videos? First of all, I don't even know how many people know that I made videos before. I think like a handful of like close friends and maybe even some other people who I don't know in real life, because I was able to garner like a relatively decent amount of views on those videos. It wasn't crazy or anything. It was like maybe like 4,000 or 5,000 views. But still, the kind of engagement that I got with it was very interesting and fun, and I liked that period of my life. But the thing is, I started before college, and honestly, anything that happened before college, I don't really associate with. Yeah, I was 2 weeks away from college when I started making videos. I didn't know all of the new experiences that would be coming my way. There were so many really rapid changes that happened when I was in college that made it so that the videos that I have made, even just like a couple of months prior to college, were already outdated in my head and therefore cringe. So onset of embarrassment. Found myself not being able to relate to or even remotely sympathize with even 2 to 3 month old versions of myself, which then ultimately led to deletion. Even now, I don't watch my old videos. I don't know, I just feel like I looked different, sounded different, made different gestures, facial expressions. I was just a different person. But I mean, there was some part of myself that was still kind of the same. Ultimately, I just feel like there was just so much cringe developing in such little time, which tends to be a thing with me. As soon as I make something, I kind of already feel disconnected to it. But I have noticed that as I've grown older, I feel like that less and less about the things that I make. And so hopefully I won't delete this video. Please, future Ananya, do not delete this video. I'm
begging you. It's okay. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Just let it exist on YouTube. It's fine. You will not die. Nothing will happen.
I do think that all of this was connected to my facial dysmorphia. A huge reason as to why I can't go back to old versions of myself is, or you know, especially in the form of these old videos, is because I just don't want to look at my face. Like I don't want to do that. If this wasn't a problem, I don't think that I would have deleted those. And I think if anything, I would have kept carrying on, you know, kept making videos. And so we come to the conclusion, which is, imagine my power if I didn't let that stop me. The openness I'd have to new friends and opportunities, if the movement of a mouth, of a flaring of a nostril meant nothing. With beauty standards like escalating every passing day, there seems to be something new that is expected. This tightness of the skin.
Tightness of the skin.
I mean, girl, I'm just getting looser. With every passing year. Like, I can't expect myself to have this like desiring tightness in your skin and in your like body skin and all of that. Maybe desiring those is kind of also just desiring some semblance of control. Having toned arms and like no double chin and no like skin just flapping about, or like a nose that like is this small and stays in its place. Like all of these things remaining tight and small, desiring that is maybe also desiring like some sense of like control over yourself. But like sometimes things are softer when they're like jelly. I think that there's also just like a very real thing that stops you from wanting to get surgery. This fear that you're losing your bodily autonomy. That is also like feeling a sense of control. Like I don't want to just get carried away in all of this. That's also like me desiring control over my own body and not just being swayed and like taken for a ride. That's the kind of control that I think I would prefer, as opposed to having control over like a few flaps of skin. Yeah, I think that's a good note to end this video with. Hopefully while I'm editing this, I will not hate my face. Hopefully I'll keep carrying on and I just hope my friends like this. You know what I mean? I just want my friends' approval. And if that happens, then I would have achieved what I wanted from this video. But I hope that people can somewhat relate to like the specifics that I addressed. And yeah, that's it. It's been me. It's currently 9:43. I have so much shit to do. I have to go to work. The day hasn't even really started yet. So I'm gonna go do that now. But enjoy yourselves.